one such evening, a gopika by name Neeraja, who was newly married to Gokula. She came as a newly wed bride. And she had heard about Krishna's glory, Krishna's beauty, Krishna's charm, but had not seen Krishna still. So, as the tradition was, the custom was, that all the people would go to Nanda's home because he was the village headman. And in the evening, they will borrow the flame from the lamp at Nanda's home. So, there would always be a lamp outside the home in the veranda. And all these gopikas, one by one, they will go and they'll take the flame from that lamp and then they will go and light the lamp in their own homes. So that was the custom in the evening. So since Neeraja had come for the first time and she had not seen Krishna, she did not know much about Krishna. She was a young bride. That time at children's age people would get married. So she took her lamp and went to Nanda's home. And as she was about to light the flame in her lamp, from the lamp in the house, she saw Krishna. And the moment she saw Krishna, she lost herself. And instead of putting the wick in the flame, she put her finger in the flame. And the finger was burning. And she did not realize at all because she was so charmed by Krishna. So she has lost her body consciousness and kept on watching Krishna and her finger was burning. Seeing this, Yashoda came running. See, what are you doing? You have put your finger in the flame. It's only then that she realized that she had lost her sense of consciousness, in Krishna consciousness. Yesterday we said, Yadga kyatva matto bhavati, gets intoxicated. A drunkard man, even if you go and give him 2 slaps, he won't know. He's so lost in drinking. Stabdo bhavati, gets astounded, gets astonished by the charm and the beauty. He's silenced with the wonderment of Lord's beauty. Then gets bhakti, atma ramo bhavati, gets immersed in one's own self, withdraws from the outside and gets inside one's own self. Atmastaha becomes established in one's own self. So Dehabhimana disappears and Daivabhimana comes into such a person. That is the power of bhakti. Even a simple gopika like Neeraja, who had only heard of Krishna but never seen Krishna, and though she had the desire to know and see Krishna, she had heard from other gopikas. And with that pure intention, as she went and saw Krishna, she lost her body consciousness and merged, she went beyond the body. Beyond, like you saying, God is beyond the gunas, gunatitaya. He is beyond all the attributes. Likewise, the mind of the devotee goes beyond all the gunas, beyond all the attributes, beyond all the vikaras, beyond the body and senses and the mind, and gets absorbed in the mind, gets absorbed in the Lord. That is what we learned yesterday. When Arjuna asks Krishna, who is the better of the two? Whom do you consider as a better yogi? And Krishna, first answer he gives is Maya Vesha Manoyema. The one who has merged his mind in me. Nitya Yukta Upasate, on a consistent, Ananya Bhakti, consistent basis he remembers me. Shraddhavan, the one who is Shraddha, that is the devotee which is, I consider as the greatest, who has merged his mind in God. Whichever bhava, it may be Bhakti bhava, it may be Gnana, whichever yoga, the one who has merged his mind in me, Maya Veshita Chetasa, completely merged his being, Mano Buddhi in me, such a devotee is truly the greatest of the devotees, he says. So whether you merge your mind through bhakti or jnana is the next part of the slokas where he says, yes, if you can be that way. Sarvendriya gramam, you contain or control all your senses. Sarvatra samabuddhaya, maintain equanimity everywhere. Sarvabhuta hite rataha, you involve yourself in the service and welfare of the others with purity and selflessness, you also are, you also attain, even if you worship the Nirakara form, even then you will also, Aksharam Avyaktam, he says, that also will come to me. And finally he concludes on this Upadesha. He, conclusive line he draws, he says, Dehavadbhiravapyate, the one who has body consciousness. It is difficult for such a person to imagine God as the formless, as the nameless, formless, attributeless personality, a being. And therefore we discussed that in many other religions also, though they call God as formless, yet somehow inadvertently they end up assigning some gender, some form, some kind of personality or attribute to that God too. Because those who are in the form, it is impossible for them to realize the formless. But Neeraja, who went with Bhakti and saw Krishna, lost her Dehabhimana, merged in the Daivabhimana. She lost her sense of consciousness altogether. Her finger is burning. She is not realizing that it is burning. So she went beyond. So it means what? The one who takes to the path of Bhakti also reaches the same. Advaita Darshanam Gnana becomes one, is Mana Buddhi Niveshaya, completely becomes absorbed in the divine self. So that is also possible. However, Krishna is, that's why he says, between the two, the one who wants to directly aim for the Nirakara, Avyayaktam, Anirdeshyam, will find it a little difficult because we have a body consciousness, we have a body. We would appreciate if God also has a similar feature in body. We can find kinship with God. And that is why avatars happen, because they come, they behave like just anybody. They also play with Krishna, played with the Gopikas, Gopalas. So they developed some kind of an attachment and love for Krishna. And from that love, he purified their minds and then ensured that their minds were merged in Krishna Bhava. That's how even those unlettered Gopikas who were not Gyanis in that way, in the sense they have not read the Vedantas, they also ended up realizing Krishna by pure bhakti, by always thinking of Krishna, by continuously meditating on Krishna, by continuously serving Krishna devotedly. They also attain. In fact, then they will go to sell their butter and curd. They will not ask, they will not say butter and curd. They will only say Govinda, Gopala, Keshava, Madhava. They will sing Krishna's name and go. And people will buy their butter or curds, whatever they were selling. So they were not having any other marketing. Their marketing was only Krishna's name, because they didn't know anything other than Krishna. So they just knew Krishna and they kept on chanting Krishna name. Therefore, amongst the bhaktas, who is the best? Again, Narada says, the best of the bhaktas are Vraja Gopika Nam. Those Gopikas of the Vraja are the best of the bhaktas, because they were the ones whose mind was complete, merged in Krishna. What did it say? Maya Veshita. Completely their mind is merged in Shraddhaya Pariyopetaste. They worship me with complete Shraddha. They had no other desire. Teme Yukta Tamamataha. I think they are the best of the devotees who can merge their minds. So Gopikas did that without any Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda. They did not know any Vedanta. It so happened that when Krishna left Vrindavan and went back to Mathura, the Uddhava was there. And they had a discussion and Krishna explained to him how beautiful is the love of Gopikas, and Krishna was shedding tears. So Uddhava said, if you only are crying so much, imagine how the Gopikas must be. They all will be truly, truly suffering there without you. He said, of course they will be suffering. Why don't you go and console them? So Uddhava said, yes, it is my moral duty to go and console them. I will go and tell them that you are also very sad away from them. And you are... So when he came back to preach to the Gopikas about Krishna and saying that Krishna is there and he is suffering and he is also sad away from you, the Gopikas had no sorrow at all. They were happy. Then he asked, the best of the Gopikas, he asked, how is it that I thought you all will be shedding tears and crying? He said, we have realized that Krishna is not away from us. Krishna is not outside us. Krishna is in everything. Sarvam Krishnamayam. Everything is Krishna. Yamuna is Krishna, the tree is Krishna, the sand is Krishna, the cow is Krishna, the flowers are Krishna. Everything is Krishna, I am Krishna. So that is the experience the Gopikas had. So Uddhava, who went with a great discourse to tell them, he wanted to tell them Krishna is Atman and this and that. Gopikas gave him a discourse in return, saying what you are talking. Gopikas had that kind of a devotion that they went beyond their body consciousness. In fact, when Radha, last night, when Radha is there and Krishna is about to leave, he tells Radha, are you not sad? Are you not feeling bad? He said, which Krishna are you talking about? This Krishna. This Krishna is Maya, is the only body. The real Krishna is my Atma. He is the true Krishna who is within me, in everywhere, everything. So for the first time, Krishna is the one who bows down to Radhika, saying that to have a devotee like you is my fortune, good fortune. That is how God is bound by the devotion of the devotee. And that's why Krishna says, you worship me with complete mind and buddhi absorbed in me, with Shraddha, with continuity, not today, not when troubles come, not when there are difficulties, not when you have desires, but all the time, without any desires, continuously you worship me, you will attain me, I will ensure. He says, I will ensure that I take you across the ocean of samsara. Those are now the discussion in the coming shlokas. So they
Yetu sarvani karmani Yetu sarvani karmani Mai sanyasya matparaha Mai sanyasya matparaha Ananyenaiva yogena Ananyenaiva yogena Mam dhyayanta upasate Mam dhyayanta upasate Teshamaham samudharta Teshamaham samudharta Mrityu samsara sagarat Mrityu samsara sagarat Bhavami nachirat partha Bhavami nachirat partha Maya veshita chetasam Maya veshita chetasam.
In these two shlokas, Bhagavan Sri Krishna grants an assurance to all the devotees. Bhagavad Gita is not a Parayana Grantha, it is a Anusthana Grantha. See, there are many Parayana Granthas like Lalita Sahasranamam or Vishnu Sahasranamam or Satyasai Ashtottara Shatanamavali. They are only Parayana Granthas, that is, you chant them with devotion. But Bhagavad Gita is not a Parayana Grantha. Bhagavad Gita is an Anushtana Grantha, it is for practice. Therefore, here, Bhagavan Sri Krishna gives various steps how one can practice to merge in Krishna. Here the assurance given is, it's a conditional assurance. I will redeem you from the ocean of birth and death. Chirat, soon I am going to redeem you from the ocean of birth and death. But it is conditional assurance. In the first of the shlokas, that is the sixth shloka, he lays down three conditions. And again in the next also, one more condition is there. The first condition is, the devotee should offer all his karmas to me. That is the first condition. Whenever you are doing anything, like you offer worship by offering flowers, each action must be offered to me as a flower. That is one. Matparaha means you should keep me as your supreme and ultimate goal. Should always have in your mind, what is the goal of your life? There is absolutely no ambiguity. I want to merge in you. I want to realize you. I want to experience you. That is the second one. And third is Ananyena Yogena, he says. Ananya Yoga means all the time in Narada Bhakti Sutra, Narada says, Taila Dharavat. When you pour oil from one container to another, the thread is not broken. It is continuous, absolutely continuous. So like that, without any distractions, Ananya, Yoga, merging your mind in me. And in the next shloka, Maya Veshita Chetasam. You should merge your mind in me. Like what Swami was telling. These Gopikas, though they were unlettered, they were not scholars. Scholarship is not required on the path of God. They had the highest purity of heart and purity of mind. How did it come to them? That is why it is said they were sages who had prayed, who had done a lot of penance, that purified their minds. They prayed to God, next time when you come down to the earth, we want to spend our time with you. Therefore, they were not unlettered girls or ladies. They were the sages with highest purity of heart. See, once you have purity of heart, nothing is required. Anything can give you that kind of God realization and God experience, like Swami was telling us a day before yesterday. As a kid, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, see, he never studied beyond third class, third standard. In fact, he could not pronounce many words. People used to make fun of him. You know, for pension, he would say pencil. Pencil. And even Swami Vivekananda, his Guru boys would call him Loren, not Naren, because Ramakrishna was pronouncing it as Loren. So they were calling him as Loren. Such a person, even when he was a kid of 7-8 years, you know, one day he was walking in paddy field on the bund between two fields, and there were dark clouds, and he saw cranes flying. Once he saw, he entered into Bhava Samadhi. He lost himself. How did it happen? Because of purity of mind. Therefore, all the sadhana is for attaining purity of mind. Here also, Krishna is giving the assurance. On this condition, you have to do it.
Mayyeva mana adhatsva Mayyeva mana adhatsva Mayi buddhim niveshaya Mayi buddhim niveshaya Nivasishyasi mayyeva Nivasishyasi mayyeva Atavurdhvam na samshayaha Atavurdhvam na samshayaha.
Like a very good teacher who teaches the minimum content with maximum stress. Here he tells Arjuna, without doubt you are going to attain me. Without doubt. But he repeats the conditions. You have to merge your mind in me. You have to merge your buddhi in me, intellect also in me. And then you will live in me. You will reside in me only. This is just a repetition of the previous conditions, because he wants to tell, with stress, this is all you need to do, and you are no doubt, atavurdham na samshayaha, there is absolutely no doubt that you are going to attain.
Atha chittam samadhatum Atha chittam samadhatum Na shaknoshi mayi sthiram Na shaknoshi mayi sthiram अभ्यासयोगेन ततः अभ्यासयोगेन ततः मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय.
And Krishna said, you have to merge your mind in me, intellect in me. It's so easy for him to say. And Arjuna immediately got a doubt in his mind. You say that I have to merge my mind and my intellect, but I have absolutely no control over my mind. And mind is so fickle. It's so difficult to control. See, that question came up in Arjuna's mind. Here, this is the greatness of Sri Krishna as the Jagadguru. As a great teacher, see, any teacher has to go down to the level of the student. If he keeps teaching only at his level, the students will never understand. And a good teacher should not assume that already the students have understood. He goes down to his level and finds out, and step by step he tells, in this particular shloka he says, fine, if you are not able to focus your mind on me, still you can continue in your spiritual effort, spiritual practice, by resorting to Abhyasa Yoga. And what is this Abhyasa Yoga? This Abhyasa Yoga, more light, I pray to Swami to throw, what is this Abhyasa Yoga? As I understand, I will tell you. There are two aspects to it. One is the internal aspect. Second is the external aspect. Abhyasa Yoga. Exercise. Abhyasa means exercise. What is it? The internal thing is, for every one of us, in spite of knowing fully well intellectually that God is supreme, God is permanent, world is temporary, and it is dukkhalayam, ashashvatam, anityam, asukam, the intellect knows, but still mind keeps oscillating between God and the world. Once I had the good opportunity to ask Swami long back, Swami, there are people who don't know the taste of God's name or God's glory. Their minds naturally go towards the worldly pleasures and worldly attachments. But why even a person who has once experienced some kind of joy and bliss by experiencing God within himself or in the company of God, in satsang, somewhere he has experienced that bliss, why again that mind should go back to the worldly pleasures and worldly attachments? I asked Swami, and Swami said, Chudu Bangaru, Dvaita Bhavamu unde varaku idi tappindi kaadu. As long as you have the sense of duality, you can't escape this. The only way you can escape this is you have to experience oneness with God all the time, unity with God all the time. That Advaita Bhava you have to experience. Once you get into duality, whatever you are, you may be a sage, you may be a saint, you may be a muni, whatever you are, the mind will naturally, like a stone which is thrown up, will go down because of the gravitational pull. The mind will go. That is what Swami said. Therefore, Abhyasa Yoga, internal part is Pratyahara and Dharana. What is Pratyahara? Again and again the mind goes to worldly things. You have Pratyahara means withdraw the mind from the worldly obsession and again focus it on God. That is Dharana. The internal aspect of this Abhyasa Yoga is you have to keep doing this exercise. How long you want to do this exercise? As long as mind keeps going back to the worldly things. It's an exercise you continue to, that is Abhyasa Yoga. But to help this externally, we can have a good spiritual routine. Like every morning, when sun rises, I will chant Aditya Hrudayam. I will pray for that energy of Surya. Like, it was Rama was taught by sage Agastya this Aditya Hrudayam first time in the Ramayana because he was so depressed. Rama was depressed because every time he tried to kill Ravana, he chops off the heads. Again and again the heads are coming up. He doesn't know. Then Agastya appears and tells him. Therefore, it is symbolic to get over, to conquer the worldly desire, that Ravana thing. You can draw the energy from the sun god. Okay, Aditya Hrudayam. Or you can chant Lalita Sahasranamam morning, or chant Vishnu Sahasranamam. Some ritualistic puja, Shodashopchara puja, some kind of offering up. This is external part. Whether your mind is completely on it or not, you have to do it regularly. You fix up a particular time and keep on doing that abhyasa, whether mind is there or not. What happens with us, we decide, tomorrow I am going to have a dhyanam from 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You sit down, the mind is not focused on God, it goes everywhere else. And what you tell yourself, what is the use of doing jhana mechanically? There is no feeling, and you will get up. What here Abhyasa Yoga Krishna is telling is, whether you are doing it mechanically or otherwise, don't escape from that routine. Keep repeating it. At the same time, internally, you try to focus your mind on God. So, if you are not able to completely merge your mind, at least follow this Abhyasa Yoga. That is what he is telling.
अभ्यासेऽप्य समर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि
Once Krishna told Arjuna, you focus on Abhyasa Yoga. What came up in Arjuna's mind is, that is also not possible for me. I can't sit quiet for 1 minute also. Even silent sitting is not possible for me. Because there is so much rajas. Why we are not able to sit quietly is, because there is so much rajas in this. Rajas we have to get rid of only with activity, only by involving ourselves in activity. When can you sit quiet? Either tamas should be there, means like Kumbhakarna, or Sattvad should be there like Vibhishana. But when you have rajas like Ravana, instead of doing wrong things, you have to do the right things. And therefore this question is not asked by Arjuna, but Krishna, like the real master, he knows what is happening in the mind of Arjuna. Therefore he tells him, even if you are not capable of all this, you can't chant Parayana, okay, fine, no problem. You can't do Dharana, Pratyahara and Dharana, no problem. Whatever you do everything for my sake. Whatever activities you are doing, you are studying, study for me. That's what Swami says. You are treating a patient, do it for me. Okay, you can't sit quiet and do anything, forget about it. But you are doing some activity. For your livelihood at least you are doing. Instead of doing it for livelihood, why are you doing? Why are you studying? I want to get a rank. Why should you get a rank? I should get seat in engineering college, medical college. Why do you want to become a doctor? I want to earn money. Instead of that, you study for me. Like Swami says, I am studying to satisfy Swami because I want to serve Swami. Tomorrow I want to become an instrument in the hands of Swami. Therefore, whatever work you are going to do, you offer it to me, even then you can reach me. See, first difficult thing, next, difficulty level reduced, and then further reduced, and next still he reduces. Yes.
अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि अथैददप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागम् ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्
So Arjuna feels even difficulty is there. Okay, I can fight a battle. I can involve myself in activity, but I will not be able to offer it to God, offer it to you all the time. I can't remember you also, I forget you. See, many times it happens to all of us, while doing Swami's work, we forget Swami. We forget why we are doing. All of us are doing naturally being here. We are doing Swami's work as teachers, as students, or doctors, or whatever you are doing Swami's work. The problem with us is, we start fighting with our colleagues, finding fault with all the people around, because we forget it is Swami's work. So, this doubt comes in Arjuna's mind. Okay, I can work, but definitely I cannot remember you all the time and offer all the work to you. Then, still the difficulty level is reduced. Okay, forget about me. This is what God is telling. Forget, no problem. What you have to do? Karma palatyaga. What is karma palatyaga? See, if you study, you will get a certificate. Does karma palatyaga means you have to tear off the certificate? You work in a company, you get salary. You have to throw away that salary. Does it mean karma palatyaga? When you do business, you get some profit. Should I throw it away? What karma palatyaga means, there are two things. When you are working, don't desire the immediate result of that action. You replace that desire for the immediate result of that action with a higher desire for God's grace. Therefore, karma palatyaga means the motivation for action is sublimated by, instead of saying when I am studying, students are studying. Why are you studying? I want to get 90% marks. Instead of that, not for 90% marks, I want your anugraha pala, not this result. I want your anugraha pala. So the motivation should become for all our actions, not the immediate results we are going to get. Why I am doing this? Because through this, I want your anugraha pala. Instead of desire for the immediate result of that action, you desire for God's grace. See, this is while doing the action. When the result comes, don't bloat and exult when there is success. Don't get depressed or despair when you fail. You have to take it with samadho buddhi. So while working, I am doing all this not for somebody's recognition. I am not doing all this for money. I am not doing all this because I want to get a good degree. I am doing all this. Or a teacher may think I am doing all this because students should say that he is a great teacher. No. I am doing all this with only one purpose, one desire. I want your anugraha pala. I want your grace. This is while doing the action. When the result comes, you don't bloat. You will tell God, if you succeed, you tell, it is your grace that I could succeed. And when you fail, you say, that is your will. You are trying to teach me some lesson. Every failure in the life of an individual, or a society, or a nation, or even the world, or every obstacle that comes is a lesson from God. Everything is a lesson from God. Oh, you want to teach me something? It is your will. Thy will be done, not mine. So, when you do the action, do it only for God's grace. And when the result comes, accept it as God's prasadam. See, that is what is karma palatyaga. That is what, and more light, I again pray to Swami to enlighten us on that.
श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः ज्ञानात् कर्मफलत्यागः त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम्.
Already Krishna has given us various steps. Starts with Abhyasa Yoga, then Ishwararpana Karma, and then Karma Palatyaga. Here he says, of all the sadhanas that you can do, that's very important, can, what you are capable of, easiest is Karma Palatyaga. That is best. That is best for you because you can do it. Why? Once you do this Karma Palatyaga, immediately you will get peace of mind. You have no anxiety. You know, while doing the action, you have no anxiety whether you are going to pass or fail, succeed or fail. Because you are not looking for the result, immediate result. I am only looking for God's grace. Therefore, God is definitely going to bestow His grace. Therefore, I have no anxiety. When the result comes also, I have no anxiety because it's all God's will. Therefore, he says it is the easiest and the best for you. Then he gives the comparison. Gnana is better than Abhyasa. Gnana is better than Abhyasa. Dhyana is better than Gnana. And finally, Karma Palatyaga is better than Dhyana. When he says better, what it means is easier for you. Because nothing is really higher, nothing is really lower. Everything takes us to God. But he says, Abhyasa, better than Abhyasa is Gnana. Here when he says Gnana, in this particular shloka, he does not mean Prajnana. Because real Prajnana is Advaita Darshanam Jnanam. One who is rooted in that oneness experience only has got Gnana. But here what he is telling, when you do the Abhyasa, like Parayana or Dharana and Pratyahara and Dharana, you have the knowledge. You should have knowledge of why you are doing it. At least you should have the knowledge intellectually that everything is God. Everything happens according to will of God. Everything belongs to God. In fact, everything is God. See, intellectually I can have it. If you know this, then that jnana is better than just doing abhyasa mechanically. Doing with feeling is better than doing it mechanically. That's all he means. See, not doing it is the worst. Doing it mechanically is next best. But the next best is to do it with proper knowledge and proper feeling. And then he says, dhyana is better than jnana. Here what he means is, intellectually you know the truths. What is it? All this is your leela. You are in everything. Everything belongs to you. Everything goes on according to your will. You are everything. All this you know. You sit down and meditate on these truths. Contemplate on these truths so that these truths which are in your head will sink into your heart. You know, it makes such a huge difference in your life. When I say you are everything, only from my lips, I don't get any experience. When I meditate upon it, when I get that experience that everything is yourself, immediately you tumble into that divine joy. Therefore, that is what he says. Mechanical doing is okay. It is better than not doing. But doing with feeling and knowledge is better than doing mechanically. Finally, this nididhyasana, experiencing the truth which you know through your head, that is definitely better. But better than that is, you are not capable of any of these things. Abhyasa, you are not capable. Dhyana is out of question. And jnana, no. It is out of my mind. Don't bother. Do every action but do karma palatyaga. Whatever you do, you are not capable of remembering me, offering me, no problem. You have to do it with the only motivation. You are doing all this only to win God's grace. And when the result comes, accept it with equanimity. So this is what thing is.
Stopped you at the 12th shloka, because 12th shloka is the conclusion of the 6th to 11th shlokas. Yesterday 5th shloka was like a final commentary on the first 4 shlokas. If you go back, the first 4 shlokas where Krishna is asked, which way should I take, Nirakara, Sakara? Krishna says, both ways you will reach me. However, Sakara Bhakti is the easier way. That is how he concludes. Now Krishna goes further in these next 6 shlokas, saying what is the method of worshipping me? What is the method of attaining me? What are the practices? What are the steps that you can undertake? So from there he starts, as he has already explained. So he told them, the good thing is that you do, the one who does all the work for my sake, not for anybody else's sake. Completely it's for God's sake. And completely absorbed in God, ananyenaiva yogena, continuously, not 1 day, 2 days and 3rd day is forgotten. I will redeem him, such a person. Without any delay, I will redeem him. There is no doubt such a person who has invested his whole mind in me will be urdhvam na sanchaya. He also rises means spiritually rises and reaches me. That is what it means. Then the beauty of Krishna as a teacher, as he explained, which teacher will be so lenient as Krishna? He did not put, you want to attain me, you better do this, otherwise don't talk to me. What he said? See, the best thing is manolaya. Completely your mind should be absorbed in me. Mayyeva mana adhastva. Mayi buddhim niveshaya. Your mind, your intellect, it means the whole deha bhava, that jiva bhava should completely merge in me. That is the best way. That devotee is the best for me. There are no two minds. There is only the mind of Krishna. Your mind does not exist. It means your existence itself is an illusion to you. Can we reach that state of merging our mind in Krishna? Our mind will come up with some trick or the other all the time, isn't it? And all the more when you sit down to try to merge the mind in God, that is the time it will run even further. That is why in earlier Bhagavad Gita's earlier chapters, Krishna says, this discussion is already over. That is why Krishna knows that this Arjuna will not be convinced by this idea. Because Arjuna earlier cried, Chanchalami Mana Krishna, like our students complain, sir, this subject too tough, sir. I can't study. So already argument is over. Chanchalami Mana Krishna, Pramadi Balavadranam, with very difficult to catch hold of this mind. I cannot do this. That time only Krishna tells him, Abhyasena yogena, through Abhyasa yoga, Vairagyena cha grihiyate, he says. First Krishna says, Asamshayam Mahabhav, I know what you are telling is mathematics is impossible for you. I know it's very difficult. I sympathize with you because you cannot control your mind. I fully agree. So Arjuna is put at ease. Abha, at least the teacher knows my difficulties. He is not over expecting things from me. He says, Asanshayam Mahabhav, oh great mighty, see his what do you call that? Satire. Asamshayam Mahabhav. Mahabhav, you are very powerful. Why can't you control the mind? Pramadi Balavadranam. It's very difficult to control, he's saying. And Krishna's satire in Arjuna is, no doubt, great warrior, great Shaktishali you are, yet you cannot control the mind, I know. So he already knows Krishna. That's why Krishna remembers that. And what he says here, Mayyeva mana adasva, you should merge your mind in me. Mayi buddhim niveshaya, completely merge your buddhi in me. Then you will definitely reach me. But he remembers the conversation this Arjuna had already told, he cannot control his mind. So what he says, he goes one step lower. You cannot control your mind, I know. So what is the next shloka? Athadepa abhyasa yogena tato. So he says that if you are not nashaktosi, if you are not capable of this, which I know of, because just a few minutes ago we discussed that topic and you said I cannot do this. So he again reminds him, if you want to merge your mind in me, Abhyasa Yoga is available to you. But Abhyasa Yoga, as he said, is not just one part. Abhyasa comes with Vairagya Yoga. Only Abhyasa without Vairagya is no use. Abhyasa means to practice, practice the discrimination. But without Vairagya, mind cannot be controlled. Discriminating and detaching is very important. Most of the people can discriminate. That is what he's saying. Intellectually we know everything. This is right, this is wrong. But do you have the willpower to detach yourself from all the worldly things and attach to God? That's when your mind will get merged in God, isn't it? You know your mind has to merge in God. You know you have to withdraw it from the senses. You know you have to withdraw it from the world. At the same time, withdraw and do what? Put it on God. So both are required, detaching from the world and attaching to God. Removing it from the world and putting into God. So Abhyasa Yoga, which he asked, what is Abhyasa Yoga? Abhyasa Yoga has both aspects. One Abhyasa is to keep withdrawing the man, Pratyahara. But Pratyahara is not possible unless you do this Yama Niyama. You see, the basic discipline should be there in life. Today I went to listen to the music instruments. See, if they had not on a daily discipline practiced, that is Abhyasa. By putting their entire mind and buddhi into the instrument, into learning, and detaching it from other pleasure-seeking ways, eating, sleeping, and whiling away the time. How could have they learned the musical instruments? So anything, that is why mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo, mind is responsible for your bondage or liberation is said. So mind is very typical, critical. So what happens when your mind merges in God's mind? Complete. You become the soham bhavam. You always live in the bhava of God. So such a devotee is almost equal to God because there is no two things. Mind alone is the difference between us and God. If mind only does not exist, has gone into God, you become like a river merged into the ocean. So what Krishna said in the very first step, merge your mind, means you truly attain that highest of all practices, which is to totally merge in the mind. So you may ask, if I merge the mind in God, tomorrow will I be able to study? Will I be able to carry on with my other activities? Because my mind only is not there, God is saying, it has gone to God. So what will happen to me then? Will I exist? Will I be able to eat? Will I be sleeping? Will I be able to talk or sing? Because my mind only is not there, you are saying. So what does this merging the mind mean? How do we act after that? See, very beautifully, Ashtavakra gives example. He says, such a person by yogi who has become detached, his mind is completely merged in that God. He is like a dry leaf who is moving because of the wind, but not because of its own. A dry leaf keeps flying everywhere. It looks very busy. Doesn't it look like? But it is not a bird which is flying on its own. It is flying because of the winds. So based on the circumstances, situation, what needs to be done, you will do. The Gopikas went and milked their cows in the morning. They made their butter by afternoon. They sold their butter by evening. They did all that. Yet their mind was always in the Krishna. So that is the merging of the mind. Your body will continue to act. And you will clearly differentiate that this is my body, which is busy in action because of the samskara vayu, it says. Because of the samskara, I am born as a cowherd girl. I am married in a family of Gopalas. This is my basic duty to make curd and butter. So you are physically, you will be busy doing all these things. And the one who sees you from outside, he'll think, oh, how busy this man is. But your truth is only as good as the dry leaf floating because of the wind, not because of its own. So the mind of a person which is merged in God, though he exists and does everything, yet he has no sense of doership. So the first stage what Krishna is asking is no doership. Kartritva bhava will disappear because your mind does not exist. You are doing everything. It's happening. That is why we say yogis, jnanis, they don't do. It happens for them. Without their realizing. They're eating, sleeping, walking, everything they're doing. But they're still not doing. Whereas an ajnani, even if he's not doing, he's doing, they say. Even if he's not doing, it means he's happily Kumbhakarna method, sleeping. Seems like he's not doing anything, but he's actually doing. That sleeping is his karma. It is part of his karma. Whereas a jnani, even if he is doing everything, he is not doing anything. So first step Krishna asks is merge your mind with me, completely absorbed in me, your buddhi in me. It means you don't think, you don't decide. Your mind is absorbed in everything happens in your life. You will continue to sing, you will continue to walk, talk, but as if on an autopilot, as if controlled by a remote control. It's not on your own accord. That's a state that you must attain, he said. Then you are a dear devotee to me. That is, but he knows this, Arjuna is not capable of that because he has already cried before. This is too difficult a sum for me. Give me some easier questions. Otherwise I'll fail. So the teacher, the Krishna, compassionate, says this Arjuna is not capable of merging the mind. Arjuna, again, don't take it as one single person. It is the dilemma of everybody who is sitting here. Can we attain that state where we are, even if we are walking, we don't know that we are walking? It's God who is walking through us, talking through us, moving through us, eating through us, experiencing everything through us. I am not physically, as an individual, I am not a part of this experience. How many can raise themselves to that level? Difficult. So then Krishna says, okay, I will make it easier for you. At least pass. If you got this, you would have been the best of the devotee. 100% in distinction. But okay, at least let us try for first class. So he says, do this much. I will reduce the level of your difficulty. What is the level of difficulty? He says, try it. Abhyasa you do. Straight away, if you cannot reach that, keep trying. And abhyasa and vairagya both should go together. Discriminate, detach from the world, so that more and more your mind will get attached to me. Same thing Ramakrishna Paramhansa says, like a rich man who is always worried about the money in his pocket, like a newly married young man always thinking of the bride at home, like the person with a toothache always thinking of the tooth which is paining while he is doing everything, while a mother busy with the daily chores is thinking of the baby in the cradle. Likewise, think of God while you do all the other activities. So what Krishna tells next, abhyasa you do to merge the mind, not possible, do everything for my sake. Matkarma paramo, you do it for my sake. That you can do. You cannot think that no, I am not singing, it is actually Swami only singing through me. It is actually Swami only teaching through me, eating through me, sleeping through me. It's not possible for us at this stage. So what you can do, whatever I do, I will do it for Swami's sake. Sincerely, without any, some things for Swami's sake, some things not for Swami's sake, not. It means what if everything you have to do for God's sake, can you do anything wrong? Can you do anything bad? Can you do anything evil? It's not possible. Is it possible? Can a murderer say that I want to murder this person for God's sake? Not Arjuna's case, that is Dharma Yuddha. Ours will become Karma Yuddha if we go and fight with others. I cannot do anything evil because I want to do it for God's sake. At the end of the day, I have to show my face to God. I have to answer Him, why did I do this when I am doing it for His sake? So He says, do one thing, mat karma paramo bhava. Please do that. At least whatever you are doing, offer it to me. Yad juhoshi, yad dashnashi, yad dadasi, yad tapasyasi tu kaunteya, kurushva madarpanam. Do it for my sake. Let us be done with that. If you cannot think that I am the doer, means total naham, total soham bhavam you cannot do, at least naham bhavam you come. I not me, it's all for God's sake, it's not for my sake. I do my work for God's sake. That much can you do, he is asking. And he must have seen the expression on Arjuna's face like the expression on most of your faces. So then Krishna thought this is also not going to work. He will not even attempt the question paper. So I have to give him one more choice. Athadapi asamartosi, even this if you are incapable of. See, he did not reject him. Useless student. No. He says, even if this you are incapable of, kartum karma mad ashraya, you depend on me and do the work. It means what? Become an instrument. Depend on me. It says, no, ashraya, one word is there. Ashraya means what? You depend on me and do. Means what? From the doer and doing, first is no doership. That is not possible. Now have the doership. But at least offer it to me. Do it for my sake. That also is not possible. Depend on me. Become an instrument of mine. Kartum udyoga ashraya. You do it dependent on me as an instrument of mine. What is the instrument of mine? Same thing, he said, I'm studying, I want to be a good doctor, so that a lot of children write letters, Swami, make a good instrument of yours. I want to do your work. I want you to do your work through me. So last he's saying nimitta matram, at least become an instrument of mine. Think like that, I am an instrument of God. Can you do that at least? Because through that also you will attain me, he says. But not in the very first stage. Through that you will reach a stage of, from nimittam you will reach the stage of naham, from naham you will reach the stage of soham and become him. So he knows that there is a method, but it's a lower step. Now what he says, at least become an instrument. That karma phala tyaga, when is it possible for us, you tell? If you have a doership, it's very difficult to say karma phala tyaga. Very difficult. Think of it once. You have worked so hard from morning till evening and you have earned some money. It's very difficult for you to say, I will renounce this. Karma phala tyaga. But when you think, God has done this through you, you are only an instrument of God. He is the owner, I am only a servant of God. When you think like that, what happens? It's easier to get rid of our karma phala. So what he has done, he has brought it down to one more level lower, saying that become an instrument. So again I repeat, first stage he said, completely absorb your mind in me, buddhi in me, you do not even think of doing anything. Everything will be done through God's will and you are just a witness. Can you reach that stage? No, because your mind is not steady. It can never live in that state for too long. So do one thing, have the doership. You only are the doer. But ensure that you do it for my sake, not for your sake, without any selfish motives. That also is not possible. Think you are an instrument in the hands of God, so that it's easy for you to get rid of the karma phala tyaga is easy for you. So at the end of that you say Krishnarpanamastu. Second stage. Third stage, I am only an instrument, nimitta matram. So something goes wrong. He said, you cannot become happy when something goes right. You will not become sad when something goes wrong. Because what is the fault of a scalpel? In the operation, it's the doctor who is operating. Suppose the operation goes right and becomes successful, the scalpel is not going to enjoy the success. If the operation fails and the person reaches the Vaikuntha, then what happens? Then also you don't have to blame yourself, because you have done everything best to your ability as an instrument. You have offered to God and you have completely believed that God is working through me. So the karma phala tyaga becomes easier with the instrumentation idea, not as a doership idea, not even as the I. I am I is very difficult. Then it says that, okay, at least do this much. Whatever you do, you offer it to me. At the end of the day, Shri Krishnarpadamastu. But that also we forget. So he says, at least remember that you are an instrument in my hand, so that whatever happens through you, it's happening by me. And so it is easy for you to give up the actions. Isn't it? But only if you are a sincere instrument, a tuned instrument, a pure instrument. Suppose the whole instrument is not tuned properly. Then even if the best of the musician plays, it will produce noise. Likewise, you try to remain a good instrument of mine, and all the karma phala tyaga you can do easily after that. So karma phala tyaga is not possible unless you think you are a servant of God or an instrument of God. And none of this you own. The ownership goes away. So very easy that you become an instrument, do it for God's sake. Everything will fall in place. And when you keep doing this again and again, slowly your mind gets purified. You realize that I am not the doer at all. Somebody else is doing, I am just a witness. And slowly that feeling will become stronger and stronger till your mind is so merged in God that you don't realize what you are doing. Like the Nirja puts her finger into the flame and does not realize what she is doing. Everything happens. They are selling butter and curd, they are chanting Krishna Madhava, and butter and curds are getting sold. And they don't know what is happening. So that stage to reach, start with the instrumentation stage, where you can, something goes right, some bhajan you sang very well, despite your best efforts, you couldn't sing well today. If you really had the feeling that I have done my best, it is nimitta matramayam, it's gone wrong, that is, I completely leave it to God, the results. Because why I am saying this karma phala tyaga and leaving the results to God is important, because that is what is going to lead to the next sets of shlokas. Unless you develop this attitude, karma phala tyaga, this anapeksha, shuchi, none of this is possible. Unless you think you are an instrument of God, the minimum level, the next set of shlokas are not going to make any sense to you. They will be all flying above the head. So Krishna nicely concludes at the end of these slokas. What does he say? He says, Shreho Jnanam Abhyasad. Simply doing without realizing, without even having sense of offering, without having any feeling, simply mechanically. A lot of pujaris do, mechanical puja. Look at that. The little feeling also is not there. I am worshipping the very God. After you don't even know what he's chanting. After some time, no? Can't even make out which name is chanting. And how they throw flowers? I've seen that. Even here, our priests are very good. Navratri, Oma, they are quite sincere. Especially when I am around, they are very, very sincere. But I have seen this happening. So such a person, can he attain God? Even if he is doing God's worship only. I am not even telling you do your professional work, other works. His profession is worship. Bhakti is his profession. Yet they don't attain God because there is no jnana in that abhyasa. They're not doing with awareness, mindfulness. They're just doing mindlessly. So svacha abhyasa, leave it. If you are trying to do that kind of abhyasa, leave it. Better than the abhyasa is jnana. Do it with the knowledge of what you're doing. You are offering to Krishna. That is Vigrahamut. Krishna is very much present. I'm offering to Krishna. With some devotion, some feeling. So that is jnana. Dhyana is what? Completely merged in the action. You are one with the action. Like who says? Yes, you only said. The instrument becomes one with the player. So much you are absorbed in your doing. All these are not possible for this. So he says, better is to not doing anything. As he said, you do something, but doing it mechanically is not good. So do it with the knowledge of why you are doing. You know that story. One cat was kept under a basket with a stone on it, Satyanarayana Puja. You know that? So there was a list which was sent. All the ingredients for puja. What is the puja ingredient? One cat, one basket, one stone. So they said all the other things are okay. Then Archana, Kumkum, Pushpa, all these are okay. But what is this cat with a basket and a stone? They said, then they dug and found out at some point in time when they were doing a Satyanarayana Puja in the home, a lot of these mice, the rats were there. They were disturbing because there was milk, there was curd, there was sweets. So the mice were coming and disturbing the puja. So somebody suggested that next time when we are having a puja, better to keep a cat. So these mice won't come and disturb. So they bought a cat and kept it. After some time, this cat started making noise. The milk it wanted to drink, it wanted to taste the curd. So they said how to control this cat. To get a basket, put the cat under the basket. But cat will be capable of throwing the basket away. So put a stone on top of the basket. So now every Satyanarayana Puja, in the list of things, this is what? Shreyohi Jnanam Abhyasat. Don't do mechanically without knowledge of what you are doing. Do it with the knowledge. Neen pakoda tinte nee kemi koduva. Without knowledge. The singing is without knowledge. That's why I asked, do you know the meaning of what you are singing? Do you know the meaning of what you are chanting? Because you are doing abhyasa without jnana. It is not good. So he says, Shreya Jnanam Abhyasad. Jnana Dhyanam Vishishyate. If you become one with your song, if you completely contemplate, you are chanting Aham Nirvikalpo Nirakara Rupo. Suppose you are chanting with the knowledge. Now you know the meaning of the slokas. But if you realize the meaning, dhyana, it is even better, isn't it? Because then you really benefit out of whatever you are doing. But beyond that, the easiest way is karma palatyaga, because all these require some decent effort. But karma palatyaga is very easy. I am only a servant. Nothing belongs to me. I am just a servant of God. At the end of it, I offer it back. But that is why when Narasimhamurti initially said, Swami, we are building so many campuses. First you started with 1, now you make it 2, then you say 4. How are we going to do that? I told him, you are a watchman. I am the chairman. I am the chairman, you are the watchman. Why are you worried? You leave it to me. Why should watchman be worried of the house? Chairman or the owner of the house will worry about the house. Watchman should stand at the gate and ensure the duty given to him is being done. That is what I am saying, karma palatyaga. I am only a servant of God. See, unless you get this concept of karma palatyaga right, the next set of shlokas will not make sense to you. That is why I am again and again and again repeating like Krishna. Understand that easiest and the best way is to do is karma phala tyaga. The next best, the higher than this is offer everything to God. Or highest is I am not the doer at all. God only is the doer. But all these we are incapable of. So at least, okay, I have done my best. I have done in nimitta matram. God only has done everything through me. I have done the karma phala tyaga to God. Whatever happens, good, bad, it is God's will. See, it is you are thinking that Krishna is making it too simple for Arjuna. That can't you remember God? As he said, can't you remember God whole day? We forget God at times, isn't it? We forget God only while doing God's work. Best classic example is of Narada, who said, who is the greatest devotee? And Vishnu said, one farmer is there down on earth, he is the greatest devotee. And what did Narada say? He felt insulted. I chant your name 24 hours. I should be the greater devotee. Ananya bhakta, I am continuously upasate. And why should you not call me greatest devotee? Then he understood this Narada has developed ego. He needs to be taught a lesson. So he told you, go and check what does he do. So he went down, checked the farmer, woke up in the morning, remembered Krishna, went about doing his daily ablutions, and then he went to his field. In the afternoon, as he ate his food, he remembered Krishna, and then he continued to do his work. In the evening, when he came back, third time he remembered Sri Krishna, and then he went to sleep. So Narada counted 1, 2, 3. 3 times only he chanted in the whole day. I chant all the time, Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. I keep chanting. He has chanted 3 times Narayana, Narayana, 3 times. How can he be a greater devotee? So he called, we came back to Vaikuntha and was very upset. So Narayana was ready to teach him the lesson. He said, Swami, they have chanted, only 3 times they chanted your name. He chanted, I chant all the time. He said, here I'll give you a small work. If you can do that, you will be the greatest devotee. Oh sure, I will, just to win the competition. So he gave him an oil vessel full of oil, a patram, and told you, put it on your head and go around the Brahmanda once. When you come back to Vaikuntha, make sure that not one drop of oil spills from this vessel. Can you do that for me? He said, this is no work at all. I will do it any time. So he put that oil vessel on his head. Carefully he went around the Brahmanda, finished the whole production of Brahmanda, came back to Vaikuntha. And very proudly said, not even one drop of oil fell from the vessel. And Narayana said, leave that aside. How many times you chanted my name? Then he remembered, not even once he chanted. Because he was all busy thinking of the oil and oil not falling. So he said, how can you be a devotee at all? When I give you some work, you cannot remember me even once. So Narada only cannot remember Narayana when he gets a small job to do. When we do our daily jobs, how is it possible for us to remember Krishna all the time? Though Ramakrishna says that remember like the toothache, remember like the miser's money, but it is so difficult. So Krishna brings down that level, says, okay, at the end of the day, just offer it to me. That is also not possible. Then be an instrument, karma phala tyaga you do. Whatever comes out of it, accept it. As an instrument of mine, do karma phala tyaga. This is how he concludes these shlokas. The next set of shlokas are all going to be the quality of that devotee, whom he loves the most. So you may say, does God has partiality? Does he love one less, one more? One can ask, because he says, Sacha me priyaha, yo me bhaktas me priyaha. He goes on telling, those who have these qualities, they are dear to me. So others will say, Swami, I am also devotee, am I not dear to you? Again, I will repeat, you have no right to call yourself a devotee. The upadhi of devotee cannot be attained by you, it has to be given by God. He is my devotee. So that is why I will not even get into the argument whether you love one devotee more, one devotee less. Krishna straight away puts the stand. If you are a devotee, you better have these qualities. If you don't have these qualities, there is no question of you being a devotee. You are still trying to become a devotee. You have not become a devotee. Just because you have a photo of Krishna at home, just because you know Krishna Ashtakam, just because you offer flowers, Naivedyam to Krishna every day, that does not qualify you to be a devotee. You are trying to be a devotee. But who is a devotee? All devotees are dear to God. So there is no argument, is this devotee less dear or that devotee more dear? All devotees are dear to God. But the question that you must ask is, who is a devotee in the first place? And then you put yourself against the standard and say, am I a devotee at all? Still, though I claim to be a devotee, like Narada said, I am the greatest devotee. Not even a devotee, I am the greatest devotee, he said. He claimed. But am I a devotee at all is the questions you will have to ask yourself from tomorrow. When we go through these qualities of a devotee, you will realize the Krishna's standards of devotion and what he expects of a devotee is so high. And only those people who meet these standards will be dear to him. All the others are also there, but they cannot be called as a devotee yet. Just because they know Krishna's name, they chant Krishna's name, or they do bhajans, does not qualify them to be a devotee still. So let that discrimination guide your thinking in the slokas going forward. And you may ask us a question, these are the qualities of a devotee. Then how do we become such a devotee? These are the methods he told in the beginning of the chapter. Try to do karma phala tyagam, or try to do sarva karma bhagavad prityartham, or say, completely merge your mind in me and say, I am not the doer. Kartritva bhavamul you get rid of. So you at least start with, so you will obviously ask, if you expect me to raise to these standards, how am I going to come there? And Krishna has already told, best way to reach there is, give up the kartritva bhavam. Next best way is, be a karta, at the same time you karma phala, bhagavad prityartham. Third is karma phala tyagam. These are the 3 steps he told. So if you want to become the devotee which is described in the coming slokas, you know what are the 3 methods to do that. The best method is aham naham, I am not there, I am not the karta at all. But very difficult to feel that way. Second best method is karma bhagavad prityartham. Do it for God's sake. Third is karma palatyagam. At least if you begin somewhere, it's possible that you will reach that stage and all these qualities will manifest. And the beauty of these qualities are that they are not independent. They are all one quality only described in so many ways. Ekam sat, bahudha vadante. It is one quality. If you become anapeksha, you will become shuchi, you will become daksha, you will become nirmama, you will become nirahankara, adveshta. All these will start coming to you. If one of these series of qualities that Krishna describes you develop by either of these practices, karma palatyagam, karma bhagavad prityartham, or akartritva bhavam, either of these you do and I develop this feeling, even if one quality you develop, anapeksha you develop, nirasa, desirelessness, everything will fall in place. So don't get overwhelmed tomorrow by saying, these many qualifications. But truth is that all these are different ways of telling the same one qualification. Sarve guna bhaktim ashrayanti. All these gunas find refuge in bhakti only. So what is bhakti bhava? Even one of these qualities you develop, all other qualities will come by and by to you. One who has no desire, how can he have any dvesha? How can he have any moha? How can he have any ahankara? How can he have any dvaita bhava? So each quality is nothing but a reflection of the other quality, and even if you pick up one and completely anushtana, you practice it in your life. I want to be nirmama. Let that be my life. Let me practice that. Or I want to be nirahankara in all situations. Or let me be having adveshta. Let me have karuna. Let me have maitri. Any one qualities I would expect from tomorrow onwards when you listen to these slokas, each one of you just close your eyes and say, this is one quality that I will practice. I'll try to practice this quality. And what will help me in practicing this? Karma palatyagam, karma prityartham, or akartartha bhavam. Any of these I will take the path. I'll try to practice this continuously. So then this parayana will become useful. If this parayana of 12th chapter Bhagavad Gita is going to be just another parayana, there are so many panditas who they can give better commentary, better explanation than this. However, with that there is nothing, as I told, haro yadyutteshta harihi Kamala Jopicha. Even if Hara, Hari or Brahma gets out here and start discoursing, nothing will happen unless you decide, unless you put that effort. So your effort is important. What is the effort I am expecting? Even if one quality you pick up from the 12th chapter and try with all your sincerity, with Shraddha, to practice in all circumstances. Ata urdvam na samshayaha. You will definitely grow, you will definitely evolve, no doubt about it, even if one of these qualities you pick up. That is why I have got to Bhagavad Gita's 12th chapter and I am emphasizing that you should pick up one of these qualities. What are these qualities of the devotees that are dear to Krishna? What is that he expects out of his devotee? What makes him happy when he sees such a person with this kind of qualities? That is something we will discuss from tomorrow onwards. So like a good teacher, I will summarize this till now. So Arjuna came with the doubt, which is better, Sakara or Nirakara? And Krishna said, those who merge their mind in me, they are the best of the people. However, even those who follow the Nirakara, they will also reach me. I will save them too. But between the two, Sakara is the easier way. Because you have a body consciousness. That is the first part of the discourse. The second part of the discourse, what he says? Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasad. You practice to merge your mind in me. If not possible, at least do everything for my sake. It's not possible, give up the fruits of your actions to me. That way also you will reach me. Don't simply do mechanically, do it with the knowledge. Better than knowledge is meditate on that thought, understand that completely and do. If none of these you are capable of, the best and easiest is give up the fruit of the action, immediately you will attain peace. If you have done everything right, why should you have a worry about what the result would be? That will be according to what you have sown. You have sown the mango seed, you will get a mango fruit. Why doubt about it? So just do your duty. Nimitta matram, you become an instrument. Results are all in hands of God. That is what karma, he says that only you have adhikara on the karma. Karmanyava adhikaraste, mahapaleshu kadachana. All this he has already told before. So Bhakti Yoga is another re-emphasis of the same points. So tomorrow when we start, please come with this determination. Don't come swinging your hands that, oh nice, 1 more 2 hours lecture and sitting with Swami. No, I want results. Result in you. That whatever this effort we are putting, each one of you should grow and evolve from here to a better human being. First human being, then comes devotee. To a better human as you are, and then we will come to the question of devotee. I don't even have to say, you yourself should be able to understand whether you are a devotee or not devotee. There is nothing like half devotee and full devotee, 50% or 30%. Either you are a devotee or you are not a devotee. You may be devotee to the world. People may perceive you as a devotee. I should call you a devotee. So that kind of devotee are you is the question you have to ask from tomorrow, and take one quality and practice. Whichever you feel is easier or comfortable or which you think is possible for you. But then stick to that and don't keep changing. Try Maitri. Didn't work out. Yesterday only I fought with this fellow. Let me try something else. Let me try Anapeksha. I should not have any desire. The first desire is that fellow should come and apologize to me. That is also desire, isn't it? So try to think and use one quality. I am not asking the whole of it. Take one and practice. Become a good devotee. Become dear to God. When you become dear to God, you become near to God. When you become near to God, you become God. That is how you can reach there.
Dei mais prema sarvakala Dei prema Gud tuze rupa Gud tuze nama Gud tuze rupa Gud tuze nama Gud tuze rupa Gud tuze nama Dei mais prema sarvakal Dei prema Dei mais prema sarvakal Dei prema Gud tuze ग म रि ग सा नि म प नि नि पा नि ग रि सा द प म सा नि म प म ग रि स नि सदा माझे डोळा जळू तुझी मूर्ती सदा माझे डोळा जळू तुझी मूर्ती सदा माझे डोळा जळू तुझी मूर्ती रखुमाईच्या पती सोयरिया रखुमाईच्या पती सोयरिया गोड तुझे रूप गोड तुझे नाम गोड तुझे रूप गोड तुझे नाम गोड तुझे रूप गोड तुझे नाम विठू माऊली माझी वरदे विठू माऊली हाची वरदे विठू माऊली हाची वरदे विठू माऊली आची वरदे विठू माऊली हाची वरदे सिंचरुनी राही हृदयी माझ्या संचरुनी राही हृदयी माझ्या गोड तुझे रूप गोड तुझे नाम गोड तुझे रूप गोड तुझे नाम गोड तुझे रूप गोड तुझे नाम पाग मरी गसा नि म प नि नि पा पाग मरी गसा नि म प नि नि पा नि गरी सा द प म सा नि म प म ग रि स नि तुका म्हणे काही तू अनेक तुका म्हणे काही न मागू अनेक तुका म्हणे काही न मागू अनेक तुझ्या पायी सुख सर्व आहे तुझ्या पायी सुख सर्व आहे गोड तुझे रूप गोड तुझे नाम गोड तुझे रूप गोड तुझे नाम गोड तुझे रूप गोड तुझे नाम देई माझ प्रेम सर्व काळ देई प्रेम देई माझ प्रेम सर्व काळ